Alrighty, it seems like we are live. Um, what's going on, guys? My name is A Rose. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, as always. I am live again. I tried doing the stream a little bit earlier and realized my address was showing on one of the websites I was using, so can't have that. So I'm redoing the stream. That stream has been deleted, so I do apologize. But we are doing a Christmas live stream. Basically, I wanted to make a live stream because I don't have time to sit down and record a video right now due to just being busy for the holidays. I do apologize for that. Um, at some point, I can find time to make a video, but right now I still wanted to get this out before the Christmas season. I mean, we're in Christmas season already, but before Christmas, basically, I wanted to get this out. So that's what this is here for. So as I said, I tried doing this earlier and showed my address. So can't have that happen. So, but let's go ahead and talk about the game systems that I think you should pick up. Ones I think you should avoid. Ones I think you should buy used. I know not everyone that is going to be watching this is a gamer. That's perfectly fine. But I'm going to try to point people in the right direction and overall tell you guys how you guys can save a decent bit of money. So, first things first, let's go ahead and cover the big three systems. That being, if I can get anything here. Okay, so the big three systems here. Okay, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series. I have it on the S here. Let's go to the X real quick. Consoles X, here we go. Oh, they actually have the X and S on. Yeah, there we go. Okay, there we go. The Xboxes and then the Switch too. So out of these three devices, if Sony would love to, there we go. Out of these three devices, which one do I think you guys, or if I can speak correctly, which one do I think you guys, which one should you buy? Okay, that's basically it. Out of all of these, I would go with the PS5. And that hurts me to say because I prefer Xbox, but with these price hikes, I cannot recommend you get an Xbox at all. Period. The thing is I think the Switch 2 is definitely worth it if you're willing to spend the money on it. But I can't say that for the Xbox Series X. The S, this I can definitely say is worth it. So you can get the Ghost of Yote limited edition here. So this is the limited edition. I believe this comes with the game. I don't see why it wouldn't for that much. There we go. Game requires download before it can be fitted. Voucher code supplied with box. Yeah. So you get a code to download it, right? But this edition for $500 is a pretty good value, I would say. It honestly is kind of a steal. They have two models, the black and the gold model. I kind of prefer the gold model. That looks so clean. But obviously, if we look at all the consoles they have, right, you can save up to $100 with these bundles. The base PS5, okay, is $450. Okay, and you can buy a refurbished one for $400. Okay, $400 for a refurbished PS5. Keep that in mind. Okay, because if we look at Xbox here, okay, well, some people are Xbox people. Some people prefer Xboxes. Trust me, I get it. First off, $500 or $600 for the 1 TB digital edition of the Series X is outrageous. Okay. Same thing with the $800 2 TB model. $800. Are you kidding me? Okay. Are you kidding me? The refurbished Series S 1 TB is almost the same amount as the refurbished PS5, and the PS5 is significantly more powerful. Okay. Yeah, there's a refurbished 512 here for 230 or 329, sorry. But the system MSRP used to cost $300. Okay. I don't think anybody should be buying the Series S for $400 when you can get, for an extra $50, you can get a brand new PS5, and the same amount you can get a refurbished PS5. Like, I just don't think that it makes sense. And when we look at the Series X, it's even worse. Okay, brand new. This system right here is $650, guys. That's a lot of money to spend on a system. In fact, for the same price, okay, the same price as this, okay, the same price as this, you can get the PS5 Pro right now the top of the line, okay, for, I shit you not, like what would be $150 less, and you can get a ton of games with it as well. I mean, you can get these with bundles too for cheaper. It's crazy. I didn't even bring up the digital one being $400 right now. That's crazy. That is absurd. It's insane how much Xbox is charging for these damn things. If you don't have a preference towards Xbox, I would buy PlayStation, out of doubt. I get the PS5 every day of the week. As for buying used, I mean, if you want to save a little bit more money, you can find these for around $379, $350. But with the prices on sale right now, and they're valid up until Christmas, or some of these are valid until the 21st here, and then this one, it says the 25th, so I don't know which one of these dates. But either way, all right, if you're looking at systems, buy the PS5 over the competition. As for the used Xbox, if you really want an Xbox, I would go Xbox Series X here. The Series S is just too close to MSRP right now used. I mean, granted, yeah, this one's like $269, but look, that's $100 delivery fee. Oh my God, man. To me, I think it makes more sense to buy, if you really want a Series X, buy it used. Typically you can find these for around $400. Like, this is a good one here for 400. Around $400, which is significantly cheaper. But man, I just can't recommend people get the Xboxes new compared to the PS5s. If it's a new PS5 or versus a used Xbox, I'm still going PS5 all day, baby. It's so much more affordable, man. And PlayStation just has better games. Like there's no denying that. The Xbox exclusives, the exclusives that Xbox had, are now coming to PlayStation. Okay, PlayStation, you have Uncharted, God of War, Spider-Man. We have Wolverine coming out, which looks really good. I would go with the PS5. But now that I've hammered that you guys should get a PS5, let's talk about the Switch 2. I think the Switch 2 isn't bad, but I personally would not buy this right now. Granted, we're looking at the Mario Kart World Bundle, so if we go to the shop here, hardware, here we go. So if we look at the hardware here, they even have a bundle with Pokemon ZA. Here we go. MSRP is $450. Okay. To me, there isn't really a huge justification to jump if you already have a Switch. If you have none of them, I hate to say it, I do. The Switch Lite might be a better deal, man. It really is. Even at $229, all right, which is about $30 more expensive than what it used to cost, $200. I just think this is a better deal. I do. And the thing is, if you buy them used, they go for around that amount anyway. Like $200 here, $168 here, $204, plus a $70. Jesus Christ. It's crazy. So for me, at least, I think that you're just better off buying the system new. If you can find it for around $140, I would say $120, then maybe. But I just can't tell people, hey, go out and get a Switch Lite for, $200 when you could spend an extra $30 and get it new. But for $134, maybe. It really does just depend. I personally, like $99. Yeah, I've seen them go for like $99 at my used store. I just realized that the reason the prices for shipping are so high is because I changed it to a different country. But anyways, so basically, right. I think that if you're gonna buy a Switch at this point, it probably should be the Switch Lite for $229. The OLED isn't bad either. I will recommend people get the OLED, but for $400, you're getting too close to a Switch 2. I actually can't recommend the Switch OLED new. I can recommend it used. Oh, I can absolutely recommend it used. Um, you'll typically find these for around 250 to 300, but I've seen them, yeah, 148. Here's it in box, 295, 250. Yeah, I mean, I would recommend people just get the Switch OLED actually if you're gonna get a Switch. That OLED screen is so gorgeous, man. I've had one; they're great. Um, I don't personally care for the Switch just because the games are very expensive. Um, but the only real benefits you have with the Switch 2 that I find over the Switch 1 is you can play, games and a, better graphics, better resolution, whatnot. But in terms of exclusives, you got right now, you really got Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza. If you want to count some third-party games like Street Fighter and what was the other one I was looking at today? Star Wars Outlaws. That's it. That port's really good. Granted, we are getting more games coming in 2026, so it might be a better investment over time to get a Switch 2, but I would say hold off. Granted, there are speculations about prices going up, but I think that's every console manufacturer because of the RAM shortages. So I personally would stay away from the Switch 2 as of right now. I just think to me the Switch 1 is still worth it. It's significantly cheaper, and a lot of the games that you want to play, like Pokemon ZA, Metroid Prime 4, are still available on the Switch 1. They don't run as well, but I just think that you're just better off getting the Switch 1 over the 2 right now. Maybe with more games coming out next year, then next year rolls around, and if it's around the same price, I can be like, hey, now it would be a good time to upgrade. But right now, I think you're fine. Especially if you're trying to save money, I would just buy the Switch Lite, man. Great value for sure. Or buy a used OLED. That's also a great option. So let's go ahead and talk about PC handhelds because, man, there are a lot of them. And honestly, this is where shit gets a little out of hand. So, first off, this is absurd. Can we all agree that this is crazy? Okay. This is not. Who thought this was a good idea? Okay. I hate the fact that Asus did this collab with Xbox because Xbox wants to take their half and Asus wants to take their half. Okay. That's why this is $1,000. Okay. This is ridiculous. And I know people are going to say, oh, the hardware is fantastic. It's top of the line, right? It can play pretty much everything. No, it can't. At least not, not native resolution. Okay. So if we look at benchmarks, which, depending on the game, if we look at benchmarks, what is it? I think Star Wars Outlaws runs on this system, but it runs at 720p low settings at like 40-ish FPS, right? That is unacceptable for $1,000. Look, if you get something like a Steam Deck, right, that starts at least the LCD, that starts at $400, I can excuse a lot of the performance issues with like big AAA titles because I'm not spending a fucking grand. Yes, this is significantly more powerful than the Steam Deck, but depending on what you want to play, you're going to have to crank the settings down and you're going to have to crank the resolution down. And I think if we're going to start cranking shit down for a handheld that's $1,000, I think that's a little ridiculous. They absolutely could have made this like $900, $800. But because again, Xbox needs to take their cut, it's $1,000. And overall, I think this is crazy. This is just absurd. The thing is though, is some of these other handhelds too, aren't terrible. Like if you're looking at getting like this one here, for example, which, yeah, for $489, it seems like a great value. You're saving $100. But if I scroll down, I can see an open box ROG Ally with the Z1 Extreme, which is significantly more powerful than the Xbox ROG Ally Z2, all right, or the Z2A. This, by the way, the Z2A is almost the exact same processor that's in the Steam Deck. I personally would not touch this thing, even for $489, guys. Even for that, listen, and it's $100 off. It's $100 off. It makes it more competitive with the Steam Deck, I'll say that much. You know, it does make it more competitive. And if you want to buy new, then I would recommend you, then this is a good option if you don't want Steam OS. But the thing is, though, if you don't mind buying used, which I recommend people do, all right, buying used is just a good idea. You can get a more powerful handheld. Now, I think the battery life on this is going to be significantly better than on the original Ally. But for me, I just don't think that this is worth the $489 when you can get the Ally right now for $479 as an open box, or even used. If we look at the ROG Ally, for example, used here, okay, you can find them for about $400. That's pretty damn good. I actually had one for around that amount, you know, and they're good. I would say that you probably need to put a battery in it. I know that JSOX has a 65 watt hour battery that you can put in, and it does improve battery life significantly. But overall, I can't, you know, justify people spending, or at least I can't. I can't go tell people, hey, go spend $1,000 on a gaming handheld. That's just ridiculous. Same thing with the Legion Go's, man. Oh my God, this is insane. I think Lenovo is the worst one. Okay. This is with the Z2, mind you, not the Z2 Extreme, the Z2. Okay. For over $1,100. Yes, it's the top of the line handheld that you can get, but besides the, you know, the Ryzen 2, I believe the Ryzen Z2 Extreme is about $1,300. But this is ridiculous, man. I can't recommend anybody spend this much on the Legion Go. It's not worth it, at least in my opinion. Even the Legion Go S, man, with the Z1 Extreme being $900 running SteamOS, I can't recommend anybody buy that because of how absurd the price tag is. Yes, you're getting Z1 Extreme Performance, but guys, I could get that for $400. If you want to include the battery kit for, let's just say $400. Okay, let's just, for an even thing, let's just say $400. Okay, for the ROG Ally Z1 Extreme. Okay, if you put the JSOX battery, which is about $80, okay, and load SteamOS onto it, okay, you're looking at about anywhere from $480 to $500-ish, depending on, you know, if you have like a thumb drive or whatnot. But guys, I can't recommend people buy this for this much money. You can get this performance if you get one of these, and you're going to have to do some, you know, opening up and you know, changing stuff. And if you don't care for that, then, I mean, use a battery bank. That's the best I could say. Because this is a crazy, I could buy two of these for less money that I could buy. Oh, I just closed it. I could buy two of those for the price of this. For the price of this, I could buy two of these. Two of these. I could buy this and a Steam Deck LCD for the price of this. I could have two handhelds. One that runs SteamOS, one that runs Windows for the same price as this. Oh, but the 32 gigs of RAM. These handhelds aren't going to benefit from the 32 gigabytes of RAM, like, because it's running, you know, a Z1 Extreme processor. It's running a mobile processor. I can't recommend people go and spend this amount of money on something with a Z1 Extreme when I can buy an open box version of this with the same processor, less RAM, yes, not as big of a screen, it doesn't run SteamOS, and the battery life is a little bit worse, but I just can't recommend it when there's such a huge disparity. Even the original Legion Go, I think, is a better buy than the Legion Go S. I do. And when we're talking about the ones that use Windows, it's even worse. At this point, if you're spending $979 on this, you might as well just get that. You might as well just get the ROG Xbox Ally X at that point. It is absurd how expensive these handhelds have gotten. And the thing is, though, is I personally cannot recommend the Steam Deck OLED enough, though. I can't. The thing is the Steam Deck is such a good fucking value handheld, guys. It really is fantastic. like the thing is that it starts at $400 and for about 550 is the Steam Deck OLED, the 512 model. You can get an amazing experience still. Yes, these are far more powerful. I will give them that. I would not far more. I would say a little under for the Z1 Extreme. I would say a little under double. For the Z2, I would say a little over double the performance of the Steam Deck. But the thing is that it depends on all the games that you want to play. Okay, like I play Binding of Isaac. I play I like to play fighting games from here or there. Multiplayer games like Side Effect, and yeah, I do want to play some AAA games like Claire Expedition 33, Spider-Man 2, the Silent Hill games, Silent Hill 2 remake, and Silent Hill F. But the thing is, you can get around that having the Steam Deck OLED a lot of the times with things like FSR and lossless. Yes, I know it's frame gen, guys, but it does work on the Steam Deck pretty damn well. Works pretty damn well on the Steam Deck. I can't lie. And yes, I could put lossless on these systems, but if I'm spending $1,000, I shouldn't have to. If I'm spending this amount of money, I shouldn't have to lower the resolution to 720p or 900p and drop all the settings down to low and use frame gen just to get a playable experience with some of these games. I just think that this is absurd and crazy that people think that it is okay to spend $800, $900, $1,000+ on these handhelds. It's just, it's ridiculous to me, and I do not understand it. As I said, me personally, if I could pick any system on this whole stream, it's this one right here. It's a Steam Deck OLED for $549. This is the best option, in my opinion, for everything. Okay, it has a great sleep-wake feature, okay, which a lot of people who use this thing appreciate. Seriously, tap power button, it's in sleep mode, turn it back on, resume exactly where you were. You can't do that on these systems. And yes, I know Microsoft said they're working on it, but guys, it's Microsoft. When they say they're working on shit, either they don't care about it or it's going to take a long time to implement. But right now that's not available, and I can't recommend people wait. If you buy this now, it's going to get better later. I promise. I can't make that guarantee. Okay, I can't. What I can say, though, is that these are too goddamn high price-wise. And look, if you really do need a Windows handheld, either get the ROG Xbox Ally if you're fine with having the same performance as something like the Deck, or my pick would be a used ROG Ally Z1 Extreme. That's my pick if you need a Windows-based handheld. You can install Windows on the Deck, but it kind of defeats the purpose at that point. I mean, if you already have one laying around, like say if you already bought a Steam Deck, then yeah, I would install Windows instead of spending an extra $479 just to have Windows on your handheld. And you can always dual boot it, and iFixit does have a great partnership with Valve. Another reason to go with the Steam Deck, because you can just order parts if shit breaks. But I mean, if you have none of these handhelds and you're going to want Windows, you're going to want to play games like Battlefield, Apex, Skate, then I would go ahead and get a Windows handheld. But I definitely get the ROG Ally, the Z1 Extreme, the original Ally. I've had the Ally, this one here. I've had this one here before. I've owned this, and I have owned the I've owned the LCD Steam Deck. Okay, I've owned these. I've used some of these other systems. I've used the Legion Go S. I have used the ROG Xbox Ally X, or the Xbox ROG Ally X. Confusing ass names. Which I don't know why they did that. Why didn't they just call it the ROG Ally 2? Like, God, Xbox, man, you guys need to stop naming shit. Just completely batshit, stupid ass names. But I've owned this. I've owned this. Me personally, if I had to pick one, I'm going to go with the Steam Deck, even the LCD over this. Because yes, you get better performance, but you got to deal with Windows. And more importantly, especially with games like the Oblivion Remastered, right? You're going to have to crank the settings all the way down to low anyway. You're probably going to have to go down to 900 or 720p. At that point, I'd rather just get the LCD and use lossless. And if the game doesn't work, then it's not meant to be played on a handheld, or at least not well. Again, there are some games that struggle on this as well as this. And at the end of the day, we're at that era of games where they're just so unoptimized that we're going to see these struggle on handhelds, right? As I said, if you're looking at the Steam Decks, which I think you should, I absolutely think you should, because to me, these are the best handheld you can get right now. I would go with the 550 Steam Deck OLED. The 650 1 TB is nice, but I think you're better off just saving $100 and then either getting a SSD to put in this or an SD card. Because the thing is, well, yes, this is nice and you're getting, 1 TB of storage. You're also paying an extra $100, and this does have an anti-glare screen if you care about that. But I also find from, looking at reviews and stuff like that, that this screen looks slightly better than this one because this one has the anti-glare. So it kind of messes up the OLED just a little bit when it comes to color reproduction. But either way, I think that any one of these is a solid pick. The 650, you are getting a little closer to some of these handhelds, but overall, I do think that this is just a better deal to begin with. And yes, it's not as powerful, but it's so much easier to use, especially if you play a mix of everything. Binding of Isaac, for example. I used to play that all the time on this. I couldn't just press the power button, go to sleep. I hated that. I couldn't do that. I also hated the fact that a lot of these systems have pretty bad battery life, especially the ones with the Z1 Extremes. They tend to have pretty bad battery life, so it wouldn't last as long. Obviously, if you're playing a game like Isaac, you turn the wattage down to like 9 or 7 watts. Obviously, it's gonna run. It's gonna last you quite a decent time, quite a decent amount of time. I found that with the Steam Deck, the LCD, I could get like 7 hours out of battery life with Isaac. This I could only get like about 3 or 4. But even then, I played Isaac on this all the time. But the whole time I had this, I was just thinking, man, I really want to get a Steam Deck OLED. And to me, that's the pick. It can play so many damn games. I know it's a indie beast, but I also see a lot of people don't bring up that this plays a lot of amazing PS4 era games, 360 games. It emulates like a champ. If you want to buy a system for emulation up to I would say PS2, phenomenally. PS3, we're kind of getting a little iffy depending on your title. It does run PS3 games, and Bloodborne does work on this thing. I will say that if you're trying to emulate Bloodborne, okay, it does work. You might have to do some tweaking and stuff like that, and I would try to use lossless if you're going to try to play like Bloodborne or like maybe God of War 3 for the PS3. But if you want to emulate games up to the PS2 pretty flawlessly in like Wii and Wii U and Switch, I would get this. I would get this over anything else. But overall, yeah, I think that you're better off getting a used ROG Ally or a Steam Deck OLED. My pick for this video is a Steam Deck OLED. As for consoles too, I wanted to kind of go back here. The one last thing I'll say, if you want to save quite a decent bit of money, you can go last gen. And honestly, last gen, it's just such a steal right now. $129, $130 for these systems is crazy. I actually bought my fiance a used Xbox One S, or an Xbox One S for around 60 or 70 bucks. I think with tax, it was like 70, 72, 73. But this is such a damn good deal, man. $100 for this system, and it does play a lot of games. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds just came out, and it's playable on these systems. Black Ops 7 is playable on the Xbox One. I personally would not play it, but it's playable. Playable. We're kind of stretching at that point, but yeah. Like this was almost the exact same price I paid with shipping, for one of these for my fiance, and I got her Minecraft, Sims 4, what else? Hogwarts Legacy, and Killer Instinct, and got a Roku TV, to go with it for less than 150 bucks, right? So really, these are an amazing deal that I don't think people should pass up on. Overall, these are great systems, and I do recommend people picking these up if you are on a tight budget. But that's going to do it for the end of this stream, guys. I am heading off here. If there's any questions you guys have, leave them in the comments on the stream or on one of my other videos. But yeah, that's pretty much it. My name's A.O. Rose. Thank you, guys. I do apologize for the quality drop. As I said, I'm really busy. I would like to record a video before the end of the year, but it just, with the schedule and whatnot, if my schedule frees up, then I absolutely will record a video. but I wanted to do this, live stream for Christmas to show people that, you don't have to spend a whole lot of money, and overall what I think you should get and what I think, is the best option. So